Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold. Hey, let's get on with the video, and away we go. Spacers to go into this thing. One here, and one over here, and one on this side. And they're not squeezed down too tight or anything. Got bolt in the sides. So this thing, once it's sitting on the thing like that, it should provide support for the bottom part of the situation there. So I think now I've got to make sure that that the motor can mount on here. This is going to get in the way. I didn't plan on that. Obviously I didn't plan well at all. Should have had a drawing. That's all I can say about that. I obviously should have had a drawing. So I'll have to figure out what to do about that, and then I'll be back and we'll fix it. Alright, so I looked it over and everything's wide enough there that I can put a nut right there to space the motor out to the left a little bit, and or what looks like upwards there, and that will make it all fit just like I had planned on making it fit. So we'll do that. Now it's time to go over here. Pardon the fast swiveling. And I put a hole in here for a bolt so that the little carriage doesn't roll off the end. That would be disturbing, especially if you had something delicate and heavy on there. So I'll be back. If you're going to control an electric motor, you need a switch out there at the other end. I mean, down at that end there, the switch is going to be hanging out of it. But to get the wire there, I'm going to have to put a hole right in here beside that hinge so that I can run the wire down through the middle of the tubing. So that's the next step. Make that hole, and then that piece will be ready to be degreased and painted. Okay, so the hole is there, and of course this is two holes. There's a hole here, a hole through this other side here going down, and hopefully that's about right for the wire I'll shove through it. I hope it is. If not, after we start assembling it, we'll drill it bigger if we have to. Alright, time for degreasing, and I'm sure you don't want to see some guy rubbing degrease on there and washing it off, so I'll be back. Alright, so that piece has got a nice black paint job on it. It's been degreased. This piece has not yet been degreased, so naturally it's not painted. And this piece is hanging there. I'm going to have to go and suck up to the boss lady and see if I can leave her truck outside all night. But that piece, probably another coat of paint, and it'll be ready to go. That and the black one. And then tomorrow in the daylight I can degrease that last piece over there and paint him black. I'll move around for a better view. There we go. That's about as far back as I can zoom, but it's not going to look bad. That's the piece that's going to set right down on the mill stand there. And then the piece that comes up out of that will be black, and the piece that goes out over is going to be black. So we'll come back tomorrow and get on with this stuff. It's closing in on 9 o'clock, so time for me to knock off. All those pieces are nicely painted, and that degreaser's some great stuff. It really cleaned the surface good. So now it's time for me to put it all back together, or put it together for the first time. And I haven't finished painting everything. I've still got one more piece to go. It's outside right now with the water drying off of it after I degreased it. So in a little bit I'll bring it in and paint it, but while I'm waiting, I'll just go ahead and put this together. It seemed to me like the easiest way to hold this axle is just to put a little clip on it. So I cut a slot and put a 1/4 inch C-clip on there, circlip, whatever you want to call it. So we're going with the assembly. Okay, the trolley's assembled there, and motor's hooked hooked up to the belt, and the tensioner's tight. That's what it looks like on the other side. That's the underneath. What I'll have to do before I get it going is I've decided to go ahead and use the controller. Blocking the camera. So I'll just mount the controller on there and let the power follow it. And that part will be a sort of a pain wiring all that up, locating it, but I think it'll work out fairly good. I may have to set a bracket up here and let it hold that little controller. I bought the controller and it didn't cost much. I can get another one off eBay if I start another project, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. Alright, I better go and get on with the painting. Alright, so that last piece there is hanging at the height that I could make it hang with what coat hanger I had available, and I had to climb on the ladder to paint a good part of it, so I'll let that coat dry and I'll put at least one more coat on it and we'll be through. I had been asked about the hinge, a little closer explanation about that, so we're going to zoom in on it here until we can pretty much see the hinge. What the hinge amounts to, you've got a hole up here and a hole in the top of this square piece right here. And I'm just going to drop a rod way down through there. Now the rod that drops through there will also go through this guy right here. Okay? So when it's over and done, this guy will be sitting inside those spaces there. You can have a rod through the middle of it. I'm not going to fasten the rod down or anything. It's just going to sit down in there and hang by its own weight. And I guess that's something else. I need to see where I put that thing and paint it. I'll be back. Alright, it's time to get serious about the assembly part of this thing, which means that little machine there has got to be moved out where I can have easy access to the left side. So good thing I've got it on wheels. I'll get busy and move it out, and then we'll start putting things together. Alright, I have to mount the bottom piece there, and I don't have holes drilled for it. I'm going to set it up there, and then I'm going to see about where it looks like the hole should be. This piece is a brace to give me support so it doesn't want to wobble that way. You can see it's obviously not going to wobble that direction. So I feel like that it could move around some in this direction, so my next step there is to, of course, put on a little protection for it. And I think this is about the right size bolt. Should pretty well go through there. Although I might get longer bolts later. But that's going to go over, and it's going to fasten right to the back of the frame right there, so that there won't be any side-to-side movement. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get down there. I'm going to mark the holes that are inside there. I'll move it over, you can see the holes. You can see there where I had sense enough to drill holes before I put everything together, you know, welded things up or painted. So there's holes in both ends of this thing. And what I've got to do now is to make sure that I know where to drill the holes in the mill stand, and we'll put bolts in there and bolt that guy down, and then we'll be ready for the piece that fits into the top of it. A little at a time. I'll be right back. Alright, time to drill some holes. I hope they're kind of lined up. Real good by hand marking it off like that. Doing it by hand is never all that accurate. time to change bits and change batteries. I finally got smart enough to eBay another charger and a couple of batteries. So I keep two of them charging all the time and one on the drill, and I can usually get through a job now. Okay, now for the boring job of deburring, and I'll be back. Surprisingly enough, the holes lined up on both sides, so now all I've got to do is put those nuts on it. I don't know where there they are, and I'll be back when I get it bolted down good. I'm going to thread that hole so I can just screw a bolt in there. It's it's a little closed box, and I'd have to drill all the way through and reach around to get a bolt that goes all the way through. I took a little center drill and drilled the hole there to start with. I'm going to finish it off with this. I've never drilled a hole by hand that was really straight, and I hadn't tapped one by hand that was really straight, so this is going to be a crooked hole. But it'll be a hole. All that shaking around, I could make a really big hole, I guess. I'm going to try to use my drill and a tap and just power tap it. We'll see. Well, there's one misadventure avoided. It's too big for my drill chuck. So, we'll just get it crooked by hand. It'll be there anyway. Either way. You have it. There's threads in the hole. Tab didn't break, so everything ought to work out. I'm going to take a break and paint that little brace. Okay, now it's time to try to insert that upright piece into there. Then it'll slide in, and the bolts will line up and everything will be lovely. Once that fails, we'll find some other way. I haven't tightened the bolts at the bottom yet. I'm going to have to put my cheaters on so I can look in the hole, see where that thing's at. It's almost dead on. And there we are. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera and tighten up all those bolts on the bottom now that now that it's starting to be important, and I'll be back. Sometimes finding a happy place for the camera can be a tough job, but maybe this will give you all the detail of the hinge being put together. I had actually misplaced this big piece. You wouldn't think a person could misplace anything that large, but I've got a lot of talents. Oh, I forgot the little piece that goes in between them. Hang loose. I'm going to go find the little shim. I'll be right back. Alright, I've got this little shim to go underneath there to make turning easier. And I almost forgot to find it and put it in there. Then we'll be lined up right through moving things around, so I'll have to line it up again. But here we go. As they say, here goes nothing. I'll get enough room above here to set everything down. Turn it on. Made the hole tighter. Whew. We'll get it in there in a second. But as you can see, that pin coming in from the top is just going to slide all the way down through there and bottom out in that square part. I may have to fight this a few minutes getting it through all that fresh new paint, so I'll be right back. Alright, we're going to do a little handheld to show the workings of the hinge. There's the little bushing between them. This rod just drives in from the top, right up there, and he goes through holes in the top and the bottom. I welded a square piece in the ends in each end of that guy, and so we'll back off and show the hinge working. Back off over here. And I know you're looking right at the lights, and I'm sure it's all bad video, but that's how it works. It swivels right on top of that stuff just quite well. I would have liked it to be taller than this, but I didn't have room, so there you are. I'll be back in just a minute. That should give you some sort of a view. I'll put the trolley on it. Hopefully it'll just roll up on there and fit. I have to loosen these side bolts a little bit until I get it adjusted right. But that's why I cut slots in. All right. All right, I'm going to have to adjust things a little bit, and once I've adjusted things a little bit, I'll be right back. All right, the trolley's mounted on there. I've got a little bolt right there to keep it from rolling off the end, and of course it can't roll off the other side because of as it goes back it'll get closer to that brace, and it's not as loose as I wanted it. It moves, but it's just the tiniest little bit sticky. At least it feels to me like it is. It feels especially good back there. It's just a little tight spot right about there. So I guess now I've got to, I've still got to figure out where the mount fits. I'm thinking maybe right there by the motor, a little bit of double-sided tape. I'm not sure. I need to be able to get to this switch, which means I'm going to have to make that wire longer. The wire here on the switch is going to have to be longer. I have to make a lot of changes there to make it work just right. We'll see what I can figure out from here. While I'm looking at it and thinking for a while, you guys can take another sip of coffee. I think I've got some double-sided tape in the house that I can use to tape the little controller box onto there. And I'll tape it back there where the brace is on that arm. And then I'll let myself think for a while as to how I want to extend the wires to the switch out just a little bit, or whether I need to. It may be I can just reach over there and operate it like that just fine. So anyway, I got to go in and see if I've got double-sided tape to stick my electrical parts onto there. And I'm getting kind of hungry, so while I'm in there I guess I can hint around. Alright, now that the project is getting close to finished, let's address the bit about me saying I've overbuilt it quite a lot. You see that 4-inch piece right up on the top there? If I get my finger on that right guy right there, that's the thickness I built this thing out of. See how much thinner? That stuff is about 120 thousandths thick on that shop crane. That's I think what, 200 and what's 185 thousandths up there. Several gauges of difference. That shop crane is that's a 1-ton shop crane, and it's built out of lighter material. So I got carried away and used stuff that was way the heck too heavy. I shouldn't have done that. And making the arm out like that, I think, where the heck is it? I think was an extra complication that I didn't need, because you know, I could have put a small piece of of I-beam up there, and it would have been a lot better to hang the trolley from it instead of making it right on top of it. That would have been a much better design. The only reason that I didn't do that is because that fan and everything up there is so close, you know. And it's probably, I guess there's maybe a foot between them right now, and I would have needed that foot to put a little hook and run a cable from there down to the outside end of the I-beam. But if I had more room and if I was doing it over again, I'd use a little I-beam and support the end of it with a cable coming from a little higher, you know, part of the support. But anyway, now that we've got what we've got, I guess we might as well see if it'll work. I got it wired up and stuck together with some double-sided tape and things. Let's see if it'll pick up this box. The box has got a rotary tape in it, so I know the box is heavy, and I didn't plan that out good. I got to get something I can hook through there. Well, the hook part needs to be changed. I need to get something easier to hook onto the hook, because it's got such a narrow little gap in it there that it won't go around something big like that handle. But anyway, let's see if it'll lift up. Well, the belt slipped on the pulley. I may have messed that belt up in the testing, so let me see if I can tighten it or replace it with a newer belt. That's also the one that came off that old Sears sander, so it may have had years of rounding. I'll be back. Well, there you go. The belt broke in half. I may not have the right length belt here. I bought some that haven't been used. Let me look around. Alright, I found the only other new belt I could find. This one's a 15-incher, so it's too long. I need a 14. So I'm going to have to order a belt from eBay, and after all, I don't know any place around here to get these belts. And I'll put it on then, and we'll come back to this later, but until the belt broke, it was lifting the load, and I just should have been smart enough to buy a new belt instead of using that old belt off the belt sander that died. Now then, I guess it's probably about time for a Bubba joke, and if I can wake Daisy up, maybe after that we'll see what she's up to.
Well, actually, I lied about Bubba. We're going to go with Ole and Lena. So anyway, Ole's taking Lena out on town for the night, and he gets home and he goes upstairs, and there's Lena standing in the middle of the bedroom naked. And Ole says, "Hey, Lena, why are you standing in the middle of the bedroom naked?" And Lena says, "Oh, Ole," she says, "I got nothing to wear." So Ole goes over and he opens up the closet and he says, "What you mean you got nothing to wear?" He says, "Here's the red dress and the blue dress, hello Sven, and the orange dress." Well, it's the best I could do. All right.
Well, I guess before I get started on this, I need to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back with that in a second. Hey, what happened to my cookie? I had it burned. Daisy dog, did you eat my cookie? Huh? Did you eat my cookie? You didn't. Well, you ate my cookie, didn't you? Did you eat my cookie? Daisy, did you eat my cookie? Did you see my cookie over there? Did you eat it? Well, who did? Who ate my cookie? Huh? Did you eat my cookie? You didn't. Well, who did? Grandma. Grandma ate the cookie? Grandma did it? Oh, are you sure you're not lying to me? You're sure she did it? Well, okay, well then, in that case, I won't give her any more cookies. Yeah, that's her last cookie for today.